For February and March, I have been testing out 6 products that I find incredibly disappointing. Very bad. And this is my opinion. Now, some I've already returned. I have samples. I'm in the process of returning. So I wanted to come on here and let you know my overall thoughts. I'm going to start off with a couple of foundations. Now, the first one I have a sample of, so I'm just saving it to talk about. This is the IT Cosmetics Confidence in a Foundation. So I did pick up a sample at Sephora actually on the day that it launched. I just happened to be in there and I noticed that they had a display. They had all the shades. So I went ahead and swatched of what was available, the darkest shades, just to kind of help my Instagram followers in case you were kind of wondering what does this shade might look like as well as the undertone. So you're welcome to go look on Instagram if you want to see that video post. I picked out the shade Rich Warm, which is number 435. So I just pull out a couple and just depending on, you know, what matched my skin tone the best. I did wear this foundation over a period of about, I would say 4 days because I was going to go ahead and just do a dedicated review. However, I was just like, and this is why this video is into play, when I just don't have the energy to even focus on doing either a dedicated video, I said, let me just lump it all together and quickly just share my thoughts. So that probably gives you an indication of how I felt about the foundation. So for day one, same thing I do with every foundation and every foundation that's going to be mentioned in this video, I will not wear a primer. I want to see how the foundation is going to adjust to my skin oils. Is it going to oxidize? Is it going to just, you know, wig out my skin, irritation, and so forth? I need to see that. I need to see that on day one. So I don't add anything else to it and just go about my day and see how it works. Rich Warm is the shade that is closest to my skin tone. However, it is still slightly off as far as the overall undertone itself. The actual texture of this foundation is very thick. It's like, is it real thick because of the pigment? Is it real thick because of the ingredients? I also noticed that this foundation would, even though it's not overly drying on my skin, because I didn't notice that, I did notice that if I have any bit of any type of a little tiny dry patch, anything where there is something kind of clinging, it would cling to it. And I'm talking in the magnifying mirror. It could be maybe even an extra hair on the face, on my skin. It's clinging to that. So I feel, here we go. This is a foundation you're going to need to baby, or excuse me, I felt I would have to baby it. This is not something that sample-wise I even finished. It's not something that I'm going to pick up a full-size bottle of. Just, you know, keep it moving. Next foundation is L'Oreal's 24-hour fresh wear foundation, the infallible one. Now this is something, a product that I notice is on everybody's lips. When I'm seeing reviews or just in general videos in my subscription feed, a lot of people love this foundation. So I'm trying out the foundation. I'm like, okay, I hope the foundation is the same. And sadly, it wasn't. I picked up the shade that, and I'm just going by memory because I didn't write it down on my notes. I believe it's the Copper Spice one. Number 515. In day one, no primer. Let's see how it looks. And it's a claim that is pretty hefty. So this is going to be something that's breathable on the skin and you're not going to feel it on your skin. So those type of claims. Here's a very, well, you know, fresh and relaxing type of foundation you can put on your skin. They named it right, because I think with the word fresh in it, you're going to think in your mind, well, at least I did, that, oh, this is going to be something that's very comfortable. I'm not going to feel it, but it's going to give me coverage and look good. On day one, the first thing I noticed about this foundation is it has a strong scent to it. To my nose, it's a strong scent. It smells like perfume, that perfume smell that like L'Oreal's lipsticks have, but much stronger, as well as like a floral smell to it. That's kind of what I got. And I'm going to just make this note because from watching reviews, I noticed some people a little snarky in their comments saying, well, I don't know what people are talking about because I can't smell it. I can't smell it. I was saying to myself, you know, our noses are different. Of course, some people are not going to smell, some other people are not. Well, to my nose, it was very strong. Like Huda Beauty's foundation, strong. Walking around all day testing this foundation out, strong. Still under my nose, strong. Still wind going by and woof, I can smell that perfume. That is how it was to me. I also thought that for a foundation that is supposed to be claiming, again, infallible, claiming to be so full coverage, it wasn't full coverage to me. I don't care if it costs $1, I don't care if it costs $100. If you are going to claim something is going to be full coverage, you better cover a dark mark. You better cover hyperpigmentation. You better cover a freckle, and we're talking a dark enough shade, which you tend to find on people with darker skin. I can have like a freckle that's much darker on me. I have the hyperpigmentation that's much darker on my skin. You know, it varies on different skin tones. Sometimes a little bit light. Oh, it covered hyperpigmentation. But for me and my standards, if it does not cover that, it's not full coverage. And I shouldn't have to use 5 or 6 coats to get there. So that's the second thing I noticed too with this foundation is the Fresh Wear. It's not full coverage, not anything where I thought it would. I'd say it was a solid medium, but definitely not full coverage, and certainly not like this. Now this concealer, the matching concealer, the sister, Infallible Full Wear, more than concealer. Exactly. This is named exactly how it is. It is full wear. It doesn't feel like anything is on my skin, and it covers anything I want to cover on my face. This is truly full coverage, and it's the first time. I mean, first time you put it on, it's already working. It's there. It's ready to party. Not like the foundation. And this doesn't even have a scent to it, like a strong scent. It's not a foundation that I was wearing days on end and I was like, oh, I'm going to do a full review. The smell alone, I'm like, I'm not going all these days trying to test this foundation out and smelling it and making me, you know, get that headache. Nope. So I did take it back, and the sales girl was like, oh my God, you're taking this back? Everybody loves it. I said, well, they're not me. Third foundation I tried is by Catrice Cosmetics. It is their HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. It states it lasts up to 24 hours. Now this is in the dropper bottle. This is the foundation. That is another one that is very popular with, I would say, within the YouTube community. It's also popular in real life. Friends that I have, colleagues that have fair skin, 9 times out of 10, this is the foundation that I see in a makeup bag and on their desk. So it's quite popular. I did pick up the shade Caramel Beige in my actual Ulta store, and it was completely by fluke. When I walked by and I saw the darker bottle, I said, oh, maybe they have a liquid bronzer. I like liquid. I didn't even think it was the foundation because I'm so used to seeing pale shades. And it was the foundation. So I did match myself to this one because they just happened to have a tester available. And it worked inside the Ulta store. So I said, okay, let me go ahead and give this foundation a try. The shade is still slightly off. And it's slightly off to the point where I can definitely notice a difference out in like natural light. So I was like, no. I'm not one also to say, well, let me put it on or mix foundations. Let me put it on and I'll fix it with the face powder, or I'll fix it with the bronzer and go out and do my business. No, I'm not like that. I hear that the brand is going to be offering some new shades. I want to say, I thought it was supposed to be this year, like early this year. I'm not certain. If brands have not gotten the memo now, they're going to get the memo when they see the bottom line. We have so many options now. You get your products out to market now if you want to snag us now, because I don't care if it's early 2019, fall, summer, spring, whatever. I'm on to the next thing, and I think a lot of customers are like me too. You got to get me now. My overall experience with the Catrice foundation is very much matching up with the experiences that I'm noticing people with fair skin have. It's something that is offering a buildable coverage. It is a product that is just weightless on the skin, because I didn't feel it at all. Something very easy to use too with your dropper. You can, put it on your face or put it on your tool. It's spread evenly. It wasn't clinging to dryness. It's just laid beautiful on the skin. And for something that says mattifying effect on the front cover of the bottle, I just didn't feel dry. I didn't feel like This is a mask on my face, and I can go about my business. I don't even have to powder it. I felt that the overall finish of the foundation was good, but just the overall fact of course, you know, the shade not working out enough to where I'm like noticing it, and the hassle of it with the whole ordering online or trying to figure that out, not having enough swatches, not having enough reviews, you know, just those things turn me off to the point I'm just like, okay, pass it on. Camera fell and the battery had to be changed, so hopefully the zoom is okay for you guys. The last foundation is by Kosas. This is their tinted face oil. I'm in the shade number 8. There are 10 shades available on Sephora's website. This is the bottle size. I think this is 1 fluid ounce. Usually that's like the typical size. Is that? Yep, 1 fluid ounce. This is a foundation that is an oil foundation, but it's pigmented, so it has, you know, the pigment enclosed in the capsule. That's what I'm thinking of in my head. So it was actually quite intriguing to me. Now, even though it only has 10 shades, this is something that's going to be very forgiving to the skin, so it's going to stretch out and cover a lot more skin tones, because it's not something that is so incredibly pigmented and, you know, needs to be an exact match. However, it is the shade number 8 in which I could see a noticeable difference into as far as on my skin. Number 8, I feel, is a strong neutral based color. So even though it's something that is very light coverage, I just had what I would see like a ring around my entire face. And when I was out in the sunlight, it had a grayish cast overtone. So that was showing me, yeah, this is a lot more neutral than I want. And I'm going to go down to number 9, which is a deep dark with mauve undertones. And actually number 9 is much too deep for me. So that's why I thought 8 would work, because it's a deep golden tan with warm undertones. But even though you would think by that description, it's still too neutral base for me. But there's only 2 cons when it comes to this foundation. One is obviously the shade match for me, but I would say the second is the price, because it's $42 for this 1 ounce. So usually if you're going to spend that much for a foundation, it better be, you know, some luxury foundation, something that has, it's covering everything I want it to do, and it's just rocking my world, because otherwise I'm not paying $42 for something where I have a foundation and I can just add my own oil to it, and boom, I've got my tinted oil right there. So it is a dropper style, and it is something where, you know, because it's also a white bottle, it gets quite messy. That was something I would say that maybe that's a third con for me, if you don't care about the packaging, but it would gather a lot up here. So I am just someone where I just felt I need to clean this off. I just couldn't stand all that, because it's going to get all goopy and going all over the place. This might be a con for some people, but it is a product that will recommend that you put on with your fingers, and it is in their video, which is on the Sephora site. I don't mind using my fingers. That's actually how I very first started out using makeup way back in the day. So I was all for that. So I like how, again, where I can just get that pigment going like I can with the face and body, and then press and pat and blend it all over into my skin. So I was thinking, well, let's see if it's going to build up in certain areas. And I could see it in my magnifying mirror where it was starting to build. So the pigment is building. Now, it's not something where it's obviously going to be full coverage, because this is a light coverage tinted oil, but I did see it start to build. Moving on to eyeshadow, I have 2 eyeshadow palettes by e.l.f. Cosmetics. First thing I picked up is e.l.f.'s 18 Hit Wonders eyeshadow palette. It contains 18 shades, and what drew me to this palette is, I'm looking at the photo here, it's just the overall mix of colors. There seems to be a mix of, well, finishes. There's shimmers as well as mattes, but I like the overall color story. When I look at the color story, it just shows as like a spring look to me, and the yellow stood out the most to me. And I was curious, I was like, is that color Solar going to be as vibrant yellow as it looks in the pan? And to be honest, the reviews for the palette, whether it's on Target's website or e.l.f. or even on YouTube, it was pretty strong. So I was thinking, let me go ahead and try this one out. Then the next one that I picked out is their new Classics eyeshadow palette. So same price, same look, style. They only only thing is, of course, a different name, different color story. So this one's going to be that, of course, that neutral color. So just basic, everyday browns, neutrals. Most of the reviews for both the palettes are from people with fair skin tones. So I do feel that the color selections, and just because of the lack of pigment alone from the shades, they're still going to look stronger and more opaque on somebody with fair skin. You know, they have light eyelids and light skin. So that yellow, for example, would show up on somebody with fair skin much more than it would for somebody like me, just like right off the get-go. Now, these are things I'm thinking of in my mind, because here we go. You might have somebody that looks like me or even deeper skin, and you see these palettes and you're thinking, well, would this work for me? And I don't believe so at all. And the shimmers in both the e.l.f. palettes work the best with my finger. I might as well just use ColourPop's Super Shock. To be honest, I mean, I might as well, right? Pick it up with my finger and put it on. And I'm going to get boom color, saturation. I'm not going to have to go in a couple times with my finger. But with a brush, no, it just wasn't really doing the job. And same thing with the Natural Classics. I said, let me just try the mattes in this first, because since the shades were quite muted, if these shades would give me the pigment on my lids, just from a classic, you know, brown based color, okay, maybe this one would do it. And then I wouldn't necessarily mind using my fingers more for the shimmers. But the colors all blended the same. All blended the same. And then the black, I go in with the black, and the black is such just such a light black. It's not even borderline gray. It was so disappointing. No, I barely touched the shimmers after that, because I was like, if the mattes ain't working, I'm not here. The last product is a eyeshadow palette from ColourPop. It's a palette, that I have been staring at, you know, quite often when I go into Ulta. It's the Fame palette, so Fortune and Fame. And Fame is more of the cooler tone eyeshadow palette. I was trying to search for reviews, and I think I only found one review from someone, you know, that of my skin tone. So not a lot of people of color have reviewed this palette. It's also a palette, again, that I've noticed it is quite popular in the beauty community, but again, it's with people with fairer skin tones. And the shades, how they build up and how they look on their lids, you know, lighter lids, it looks beautiful. But it's something where after swatching it several times, I'm really only left with the last row of that palette. I believe the cost of the palette is like $22. $22 for 4 shades? I think not. The first 3, so the 3 rows above the last row, they're all the same. They look the same to me. So building them up, they're all just gonna wash out to be the same color, just all ashy gray on my eyelid. And even the shimmers, they all blend and look the same. You are someone, again, with around my skin tone, darker, you for some reason were also thinking about this palette. No, this is again something that's best suited for fair skin tones, and definitely not something that would work for me. And I don't think it would work for you as well. Those are all the 6 products that I have been using, testing out for February and March. Disappointments to me, did not care. They're out of my system now. I've tried it and I've moved on. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching, everyone. I really do appreciate it. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful evening. And as always, I'm going to see you in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.